everyone. Welcome. My name is Patty Dominguez, and I am Vice President of Architect and Design for Cosentino, North America. It is such a pleasure to be here with all of you today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being part of this panel, and hopefully you will enjoy it as much as we have been enjoying with all of our guests today. So today, it is my pleasure to introduce our team, and before that, I'd like to just thank our partner, Berta Zoni, as well as Sherwin Williams. We're very excited to bring this event to you. This panel is being run by our dear friend, Carisha. She is the market director for House Beautiful, and she will be our moderator today. And most of you in this industry know Carisha and know how amazing she is. And I just want to thank you again, Carisha, most importantly for all of your friendship and the partnership that we have with Hearst and with House Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patty.
And so I'd like to just tell you a little bit about, before I turn it over to Carisha, who is really going to be who you're listening to, I want to welcome everybody. So first and foremost, Brynn Olsen from Berta Zoni. Brynn has, she is works with Berta Zoni for the brand, and she's the founder and designer principal of Brynn Olsen Design Group, and also a dear friend of the Cosentino. So welcome, Brynn.
Thank you guys so much. Excited to chat today.
Thank you. Excited that you're here with us. Second, I would like to introduce my dear friend, Nina Megan. Nina is an amazing designer from Houston, Texas, and she's the creative director and founder of Contour Interior Design. We've done many projects together. Nina also forms part of the Cosentino Design Alliance group, and she is a great friend and partner of Cosentino. Welcome, Nina.
Thank you so much. Love you, Patty, and thanks for having me here.
Thank you. Second, I'd like to introduce another fantastic designer and dear friend of ours, and someone that many of you know, Michael Smith Boyd from Sherwin Williams. I'm sorry, Mark. I wanted to introduce first Michelle Smith Boyd, and okay. I always say that. I apologize. And just introduce you. And Michelle is the interior designer and product designer, and also has been in many occasions. We've been together in some show houses, and friend of the brand. And I think that most of you that follow his work can attest to the fact that he is just an amazing designer, and the firm and that he has today and what he has done for the design industry in general has been quite phenomenal. And you are someone that I personally look up to. So,
wow. Well, that's a lot to live up to, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Michelle. And I believe, is there anyone else that no, I think that's it. So Carisha, you want to take it from here, and
I'll take it from here.
I will be back at the end and say some closing remarks. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Patty, for that fantastic introduction. I think this is a powerhouse group of people that I have the pleasure of being on this panel with, and I'm so happy to be joining Cosentino, Sherwin Williams, and Berta Zoni to talk about color trends. So we are here to talk 2021 color trends, a topic especially timely with Sherwin Williams unveiling their 2021 color of the year, Urbane Bronze. But as we look at color through the lens of our new normal, a term we use a lot now, and how we're living at home today, the role color plays in our everyday lives is bigger than ever. So I want to jump right into these questions. And the first question I have, I'm going to open up to all the designers, but Michelle, I think I'll start with you. And that is, what shift are you seeing in the industry and with your clients specifically when it comes to embracing color at home?
I'll be honest with you. I thought that I was going to be introducing whites, shades of white again to all my clients this year because I'm thinking, I'm going to change my house. I'm going to do this white. I'm still in Loja right now. I was obsessed with that color for years, and everybody that I worked with has it somewhere in their home. But I mean, Sherwin Williams threw a monkey wrench in my plan and introduced Urbane Bronze, which is like definitely in my wheelhouse, right? For those clients that would be willing to take a risk. You know, they introduced it as a color of the year, and it's kind of like exactly one of those cozy moods that's the key to finding comfort during the pandemic. So uh, it's it's good. And it's perfect like grounding thing. Like I imagine it like earth, like ground and everything green and fresh flowers like orchids on a color like that is fantastic. And so we've been shifting into some of these deeper tones and darker colors just because it's a great safe room, comforting kind of space, and we all need that, right?
I love what you said about feeling grounded because that's what we all need. We have so little control right now. So
Mm.
feeling like we have a little ability to have control feels so right, especially for a color that's supposed to envelop you at home. Brynn, I'm going to throw that question at you. What are your
Yes.
clients asking for?
Yes, I mean, Michelle is he's so pointed in what he just said. I couldn't agree more. So what this has been such a funny year, like just everything with the industry, and we have been so pleasantly surprised in some of the shifts that we're hearing from our clients, some of our anti-color clients, some clients that, you know, were so super color and then kind of going into something unexpected that we think from them. So essentially color still, no matter what, is so personal to every one of our clients. But we have been definitely seeing our most anti-color clients embrace jewel tones, for instance.
Wow.
If they are going to embrace the color and kind of wanting to do something different. So we're seeing anti-color clients start to be okay with some jewel tones. But we have actually I was so excited to see Sherwin Williams's new their unveiling of their 2021 color, because we have seen the industry certainly go that way, and we have actually been executing those dark cozy colors. As you can see, actually right here for two of our clients, these are some study shots in progress during COVID, and embracing this dark, cozy, luxurious color. And so Urbane is like so spot on. Urbane Bronze is really spot on.
Nina, are you seeing the same thing in your area?
Yeah, we're seeing me myself. I'm more of a black and white person.
Yes, I'm aware.
I'm embracing color, ironically enough, through plaster on walls and the color of plaster. And it's not just about the color anymore, it's more about texture as well. And then, I'm also seeing a lot of nature inspired, colors come through, like the natural woods. And, I'm just seeing they want to be very comfortable in their home. And so whatever brings that comfort is what we're seeing more of.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. It's all about comfort right now.
Right. And we're throwing in splashes of color here and there, but anything that's nature inspired, comfortable, we're seeing a lot of texture come through. And that's something that I am really embracing, which I never did before. I used to love the level 5 flat finish and more into plaster and colors. And like even this, the beautiful fireplace, it has so much depth to the fireplace due to the faux plaster look and the concrete look, and these are all natural materials, which is really what I'm loving.
It's interesting because another trend we're really seeing is this influx of multi-generational households stemming from the pandemic. I, for one, moved into my mother's house where I am right now,
Oh, wow.
out of like my little, out of my little New York City, Connecticut apartment, to have some breathing room. And so how has this new dynamic impacted your color selection and design process? And Michelle, we'll start again with you.
I feel like color is the most important tool in our chest as designers for establishing a mood conducive to a happy family, right? And with the multi-generational families, color is so weird because everything that was retro is like come back and resurface and it's cool again. So that means that what would be a nod to grandma might actually be a nod to the generations after her, you know what I mean, at the same time. So color's amazing that way, luckily. And I got to piggyback on Nina. I think I would plaster myself if I am so obsessed with just like subtle movement and color together. Yeah, especially urban bonds being an alternative to black, you know what I mean? That depth, but still just a little movement. Absolutely.
That's so good. Nina, have you seen the same thing? Has there been a shift in terms of the multi-generational families that you're creating spaces for?
You know, like I said, everyone has a completely different opinion. So there's no one style right now. I think that everyone has become massive Pinterest users, and everyone is getting information from everywhere at this point on a global scale. And so we are seeing all kinds of different things, especially in the multi-generational homes. Many people are living in one house. So either they're all deciding on one common look that they can all appreciate, or they want to feel individualized. And the person who likes the environment more, they'll paint their room green, or somebody who's trying to get out of some kind of depression, they'll paint their home yellow, or their room yellow. And so we're seeing that a lot of the common areas are in these very neutral colors, and then the individualized rooms are becoming more spectacular and more detailed than they were before.
It sounds like people are designing for these multi-generational families to never go back to being generational. I would just like to say I am moving.
If I went to my mother's house, she would never let me out of that house.
Your mom's cooking? Are you serious? Why would you do that?
Mommy doesn't cook. Brynn, did you have anything to add?
Well, I echo what both Nina and Michelle said, but the one thing that I'm always on another level so interested in the psychology of interiors, and I think COVID has really unveiled from more of a psychology point of view for interiors that I'm finding that more of our families, more family members are actually paying attention to interior design, whereas some members of family could give, two flips about it prior. I love that even like the younger generations are now like looking around and being like, oh, home actually really is important. And it's more than just what it looks like, it's how it functions. And so they're starting to I love that I'm seeing more members of the household that used to be like silent and not even paying attention, now paying attention and understanding, like, we're not just dealing with, just colors and pretty stuff. We're dealing with like the psychology of how you feel every day. And that's the reward of what we were able to do. So yes, we're definitely seeing more interest, I would say. Color and texture and styles are still personality driven, but I love that people are paying more attention.
Yeah, I'm like, who wins in a multi-generational family, right? who actually gets to pick the color for the family room?
Right.
So I'm going to skip over to another question, which is, I'm going to direct at you, Nina. So your work spans the globe. I'm curious to know how you're seeing these color trends play out in other industries and in global markets, and if those shifts have influenced your work this year.
So, what I've noticed a lot is, we are really becoming a global market at this point. We have come together because of COVID as an entire world. This has not affected one person or one country. This has affected the entire globe. And with that, we have seen, acceptance of many different things. So one of the things that we've seen a lot of is, for instance, my background is Indian. And so in India, we used to see a lot of colors, reds, blues, oranges, a lot of metals. And now we're seeing that transcend into the US market as well. It was before, but now as people have had more time to be on all these social media type platforms, we are really becoming a global market now and realizing that there's so much information from so many different countries. Like in this picture, for instance, we have a brass chandelier, and these are reupholstered red. Never in a million years did I ever think that I would ever use red and blue in the same room. Superman in a room, but this ended up being on the cover of Lex magazine, and so even me, who's completely black and white, is embracing color because I'm seeing that there's so much beauty that can be done with color. And it's also part of the reason when I sat at home in March and I was on the computer all day long looking at Pinterest, I became obsessed with, mixing and matching colors. And so I'm seeing that a lot, and we're pushing that on our clients, and they're surprised because they're saying, you're so black and white. And I'm saying, but I don't know. I don't know.
It might go back to what Brynn was saying about the psychology. The psychology is affecting you guys as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Michelle, I heard you laughing in the background. Did you have something to add to that?
Well, honestly, Nina hit a couple key points, especially social media. It's kind of shrunk everything, right? Everyone has access to everything. So, even those Indian-inspired interiors, and from all across the globe, my clients are being influenced by that, and they want to kind of incorporate some of that here because they have more time, like Brynn said, to pay attention. And I'm actually sitting in that room to pay attention to how they feel about interiors. So in that space, I think we feel probably more appreciated than ever. And they understand the value that interior designers actually add. And that part I love. I'm not sure about multiple opinions from every family member, but I do love feeling more appreciated.
I have to say,
love to see cultural influences kind of trickle down into middle America, you know what I mean? And in places that are really unexpected. And it's offering us the opportunity to include solutions that we may not have before just because of the access that social media has lended everybody. So that's exciting for me as a designer. We get to diversify our portfolio that much more and add more value and culture and just awareness to our clients.
I mean, I love that we are all, me included, so dependent on social media right now to kind of travel through, right? Because we don't have access to getting to the places that normally inspire us. So we are all kind of seeking inspiration from so many different places and through so many different lenses.
Good design unites us, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's what we love. It makes us happy. It makes us feel good. I'm going to keep going back to Brynn's psychological point. Makes us feel good. Brynn, I'm going to start with you on the next question, which is, with everything we've talked about so far, and it kind of goes back to the other question about prioritizing, are there particular spaces that your clients are prioritizing now more than ever?
Well, I think all of us are probably going to answer the same thing when it comes to home offices, of course. That's a given. Playrooms have been another given, and outdoor spaces are now all of a sudden paying attention to. But also, our clients that have more time to, actually sit and absorb their home and start to think about where their joy comes from within the home. They're starting to really focus on spaces that maybe they put off and put off and put off. So like, for instance, spaces that they know they're going to get a return on their renovation value. So kitchens. And so clearly, actually right here is a Berta Zoni kitchen that I partnered with them to do a renovation. And so one thing that we are definitely seeing is, this idea about people can't travel anymore. The excitement that they get from their lives is like coming from within the home. And so they're looking to do something exciting, maybe if something unexpected or exciting is really kind of the psychology again that I'm seeing. And so in the kitchen for our anti-color clients, they're loving doing something a little bit more permanent and doing something different and an appliance. They're still kind of afraid of maybe doing something with tile or countertop that might be a little outside their comfort zone, but like, we have been partnering with Berta Zoni on a lot of projects where for our really colorful clients that don't mind taking a chance. And the cool thing about Berta Zoni is, for clients that love color, they actually use the same colors from the Lamborghini factories. So like you can see here, for instance, a client that loves a soothing white kitchen, but they want something fun, adding the color in there. So we've been having fun with these spaces that clients have put off, but they know they're going to get their ROI and actually, it's the heart of the home. So we're really paying attention to kitchens.
I've been to that factory, by the way, with Berta Zoni. I do not have a stove or a Lamborghini yet, so I'm putting it out there right now. but I got to see the colors, and it's pretty spectacular what they do. Michelle, do you have anything to add to that?
Really, honestly, everything Brynn just said. I mean, it starts with the home office and trickles down to the kid spaces, and then where we can get best resale dollars. I am doing more construction on projects that we did 10 years ago or 8 years ago, which is a great compliment, right, to be invited back. But it's also like, it's crazy. But it's exciting because I'm getting to push. I'm getting to, and I'm not getting the pushback that I would get normally, because they're trusting us, like I said before, a little bit more. And I personally want a Lamborghini in my kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay, so this space here, I was at this house yesterday for 2 hours at 9 o'clock in the morning outside talking about adding a renovation, making the master suite a little bit larger. And they said, hey, Michelle, I think we want to spend 10 more years in this house. I did the house 10 years ago. And if we did, what do you think we should add? And I'm like, I don't live here, but I'll give you my opinion. And so we're going to expand the master suite and we're going to redo the kitchen. In there, I was using this colors that I'm obsessed with, like this pale blue gray on the ceiling and just white walls, just a different way to introduce color as a surprise. Yeah, it's crazy exciting year. It's weird. It's this weird balance where it's rough on the outside and on CNN and for all of us in reality. But on the work side, we get to stretch, and that's exciting.
What's interesting about what you just said too is that, are you finding that more of your clients are doing renovations because the housing market right now is so incredibly tight?
Well, they said, we were open to spend X amount more dollars, but we're not getting a whole lot more square footage. And I'm speaking here in Atlanta. What we're getting is different finishes. So we can upgrade the finishes in the house we're already in and add a little bit more square footage, and we won't have to move,
Right.
And I agreed.
Yeah. Add some Cosentino, add some Sherwin-Williams, and you have
Get a
finishes.
for the kitchen.
Done and done. Nina, would love to get your point of view on this.
So, I think, and I'm going to echo both of them so that I'm not repeating anything, but I think one of the main things is that I think people are bored. They can't go anywhere. They can't travel. They can't spend money on all that traveling dollars that they were going to spend. They're now spending it in their home to make their home more interesting and exciting. And who knows, I'm worried about some of them because they're going a little too crazy. So I'm worried that, they might want to come back. But, we're also seeing a lot of mood changes, like moodier kitchens, depending on the mood the client is in, and paint is so simple. If they do have paint grade cabinets, just painting a different color, they're not taking it as seriously because, everyone's trying to lighten up the load on the seriousness right now and, being a little bit more forgiving and more interested in design in general.
And one of the things, it's interesting about color, and one of the things that Brynn said earlier too, is just that like this kind of expectation that every single square foot of your home needs to be used for something. The dining room that used to only be used twice a year at the holidays is now a multifunctional room for the whole household, right? Yes. So every space is having to work a lot harder. So when it comes to color, this notion of embracing color in more permanent or unexpected ways, what color applications are you guys forecasting for 2021? And Nina, do you want to start that one off?
Sure. For anywhere in the house, I'm loving the moodier look. I love that moody feel, and which is one of the reasons that we like the urban bronze. It's kind of like a mix between gray and beige and bronze. Gray beige bronze. I don't know what name you would call it, but again, just the moodier feel and adding the color in the furniture. So again, like in this image, we have a concrete table. We obviously have the wonderful Cosentino on the floor and the countertops. And then we have a dark, moodier kitchen with a concrete countertop in the middle and a concrete breakfast table. But then you have the subtle purple chairs with it. So, adding that color through furniture is, I guess, sometimes more of a safe way. So I love keeping the neutrals of the house more of a subdued color, and then adding that color through furniture and textiles and things like that.
Agreed.
Michelle, I hear you in the background. Agreed. Yeah, Michelle.
I 100% agree. I personally am redesigning my bathroom, and I want to make it a wet room. And I am so attracted to the timeless masculine, classically just beautiful black stone with white veining, and Cosentino does that beautifully. It feels substantial, and I want to be greeted by that every morning. It's never not going to be a good idea, just to have that beautiful black and white and timeless introduction to every day, and it feels like a sure thing. You know what I mean? It's that, again, a safety net, and it's cozy. And it's also really pretty.
I'm like, what's happening here? Nina's embracing color. Michelle's going black and white. the world is going nuts.
Michael's image that we're seeing right now of this very neutral background and a pop of yellow is a perfect example of what's going on now.
You showed an image of the stone-clad cabinetry, which I love doing with stone. And we just did on an outdoor kitchen, and I want it so badly. Like, I live vicariously through the clients, honestly.
Yeah. Brynn, I'd love for you to jump in on this conversation too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but our cornerstone of our design process echoes very similarly to the other two. And so again, I'm going to kind of go back to what I talked about from the beginning, is that this notion of, the urbane bronze is really, really on point. That, we're just seeing this sultry deep color in other applications. Like, for instance, this image, we're seeing this matte black a lot. You'll see actually Zoni does offer now a matte black finish on their, some of their series. And, this image actually, it's not one of ours. It's another it's a very talented designer that utilized Zoni, but I loved how they utilized the matte black in the stone, just not being afraid of it. And like that image of that kitchen just really shows that there's this shift towards people really taking chances in the unexpected, especially like in a kitchen like this. So yeah, that dark, sultry, urbane bronze is like so on point.
Yeah,
and I love this picture because you've got the texture in the tile in the background. You have that beautiful Zoni range, and then you actually have a lighter countertop in there. So it's interesting to see the play of colors and the way shadow plays in that space as well.
Yeah.
So, okay, I don't want to make any assumptions about everybody that's on this, in this room with us, knowing everything about you. So I would love to jump into kind of your individual creative processes, especially as it goes with color and texture. So Michelle, why don't you get us started off here?
Well, I'll let you know that I'm a romantic, one more thing about me. And I feel like design is romantic, and I want to hold on to that as much as possible, even with all the access from social media and Pinterest and so forth. I want to deliver that romance to our clients. And for me, it starts with a story, a color story. What kind of palette am I going to build? What is Sherwin has to offer? Sherwin has to offer me today for this client, and it evolves into how I'm going to next level that foundation with, complements and contrasts with fabrics, and enter the music, then I'm dancing. I can see the application in my head. And I think great designers create narratives and understand balance. And ultimately, we're responsible for the mood in a room, and we want to leave that client balanced, right? This is the bedroom. And honestly, master bedrooms are always the last room to get done, because, and I always suggest that, seriously, just because I like the public spaces to be done clearly. And then our clients are exhausted and they want to retire to a space that's amazing. And at the end of the budget, they don't mind splurging a little bit more on themselves. And so this was the last one to be done in this house. And I would want to sleep there. It immediately calms me. It feels like luxury, and it's just layers of the same tone. I like this narrative.
I have to say that my own predictions for 2021 are that people are going to be investing more in their bedrooms. I think that space in our homes is so important to our recovery from the day. And so I love that that's how you end things. Also, because apparently you can get all your clients' money then.
Don't tell anybody my tricks.
Brynn, I'd love for you to jump in on this.
Yeah, well, this is a tiny bit off topic, but just to belly up off of what you were just saying, Carisha, is I have totally been seeing that trend, and people now spending more understanding luxury and spending their dollars on things where they might not have it in previously because of really like it all comes down to staying at home.
Exactly.
But yeah, just people are really understanding that luxury, you get what you pay for in this industry. And we're seeing them paying attention to adding trim details and luxurious, going for the more luxurious down. So a little off topic, but I wanted
No,
to.
but I love that you said that though, because we used to reserve luxury for hotels.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, no, we can have that at home.
Yeah.
Do you know how much it annoys me that people live better in hotels than they do at home every day? That is beyond me. Yeah.
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 Okay, Brynn. Sorry.
So honestly, yeah, no, I'll go into our creative process. Gosh, it starts and it stems first and foremost with our clients. We have our tried and true formula, but my first step is always getting to know our client. I always say our very first meeting we'll ever have once you sign on with us is our first date. It's called visualization. And so we spend a lot of time with them understanding their aesthetic preferences and of course their functional preferences. But once I know that, then our creative process, basically in each room that we do, we always want to make sure that there is a timeless foundation laid. While anything you shake in the home that is not going to fall off, or the walls or whatnot, that we want those things to be pretty timeless. And then of course, like larger investment pieces to be a little bit more timeless. And we love to bring in texture on the floor and pillows. I always want my clients to collect something specialty vintage or an antique. Does not necessarily mean it has to be $1 million. It could be, something that was found in a flea market underneath, behind an armoire. And then I'm an artist myself, and so I have a real love for urging my clients to put at least one piece of, a wow statement or a conversation piece in each room, no matter what it is. It could even be the laundry room. Where you put maybe some really fun wallpaper. But I love art. And I think art is just really where it completely takes a space, from great to grand. And so that's kind of our little formula for our creative process. But we always make sure that there's a mixture of textures and even a little bit of color. But I'm a black and white girl too, Nina, with a little bit of punch. Like, yeah, I get mentioned, my flowers back there, for instance. So, yeah.
But Brynn, I love what you said is, you're focused on those foundational pieces. Yes, nobody wants their walls coming in. So the things that are going to give structure and balance and architecture to a room. But I also love that when you talk about vintage, you're not talking about something that has to be so over the top that it kills your entire budget. It's something you fall in love with, just like art, right? And so it's really what brings you joy.
Yes.
So I love that. Nina, everybody's stealing your black and white thunder, sister. Please walk us through your creative process.
Sure. So, most designers have a very similar creative process. So, I definitely echo with both the other panelists said. I think one of the first things that we do is really get to know our clients. Every client is so incredibly different. Some of our clients are more sophisticated, so we immediately know that they're going to probably prefer a darker palette that's more neutral. Some of our clients are more playful and they prefer a lot of color. And so it's really understanding what the client really loves. In this particular image, there's so many different textures and colors going on that it's not just about color, it's also about texture. You have the Zaha Hadid sofas that are gray. It's a completely different material, kind of like a scuba material. Then you have the B&B Italia purple chairs. Then you have the Vicente Dakota's table in the middle that has, an inlay of a stone that we actually selected as well before it was delivered from Italy. Then you have the Fandango lights in the ceiling, and then it's mixed with this very, antique texture that you're seeing on the doors. So color is very important, but it's just as important as texture. And when you mix the two perfectly, you get a very beautiful composition. And, again, it's really understanding the client. So this client is a very sophisticated client, but they wanted color. So we had to make sure that we were bringing in these ruby tones in a very sophisticated manner.
Mm-hmm. Right. And this is where people like me can go wrong very quickly without a designer, right? Jewel tones can go in many different directions. So it can go from beautiful and sophisticated to like tacky and 5 years old. So it is the eye of the designer that helps bring all those colors together and all those textures together in a way that still feels beautiful and comfortable and a livable space.
Right.
So speaking of color and comfort, so often we talk about those two things and they're really related to nature. It has its roots in nature. And so something we all crave is a respite from exactly what we're doing right now. Being on Zoom, being on WebEx, being on Microsoft. And so what does this look like for design in 2021? When we talk about color and comfort, where are we going with this? And Michelle, I'll have you start off with that one.
That's interesting because I've got my answer, and then I've also read about the color of the year for next year and what it actually does, and it's answering what's happening in 2020. And there's a Moonraker soft buttery yellow that kind of represents optimism and positivity, and then there is what is the pearl gray from the Sanctuary palette from Sherwin, which is my absolute favorite, to kind of cool and ease that anxiety that we're feeling, right? Everything is just trickling down. Remember I mentioned loggia earlier? This bedroom is all loggia. I'm the guy who paints walls and the trim the same color, different finishes, because I want to stretch it as tall as possible and I want it to feel easy. This bedroom is a little bright for me, but I got my dark in there with the drapery. And that rug is amazing. It's actually from my collection.
Nice plug.
But magical problem solvers, right? Designers are. So, I think in 2021, obviously, we'll still be working on what's happening right now. And it's really just going to be about, I think, going back a little bit to those grays, just because it's calming. That bedroom with the dark ceiling and all the texture on the back wall. This was a really maximalist phase for me where I want to get as many textures and patterns in the room as possible that can live harmoniously and really like do something only a designer can do. You know what I mean? And introduce a client to a room that they're not going to see somewhere else. And that's the exciting thing about design. But I think my prediction for the next year is definitely going to be, just one of the two, creating something really happy or something that's really calming for those of us who experience a little bit more anxiety.
Right. Nina, I'd love for you to talk through that as well.
Sure. So, I agree with everything that Michelle is saying. Also, I think that it's going to be really important to really take nature in. We've seen a lot of these indoor-outdoor spaces come to life during the pandemic, just including the fresh air into the house. Here in Houston, it's so damn hot. In a very small area of this cool weather, and right now we're in that, beautiful weather time. And so these indoor-outdoor spaces and taking nature in. But nature doesn't have to be necessarily so literal. It can be done through art. It can be done through flowers. It can be done through a petrified wood. For instance, in this house, we have created something out of a different type of stone. Next time we're going to do with Cosentino. This was a different type of stone. And what we did is we really created this kind of floral effect on a wall to bring that element of nature into the house. But like I said, it doesn't have to be that nature is brought in so literally. It can also be through textures and different materials. And I think that's something that's going to become very prevalent in the upcoming years.
That is a gorgeous room. I don't know how many friends this person has, but they have a ton of people to entertain. They have an amazing life.
I like too.
I like the plants. They're my favorite.
They have room for everybody in town. Brynn, I'd love for you to get in on this nature conversation, especially as our doctor of psychology in the house right now.
I need my MD. So it's exactly what Nina and Michelle said. And if Urbane Bronze has not taught us anything other than comfort and coziness is on the docket for 2021, I mean, what else? We really have been seeing this shift for like dark statement rooms. And so I really see this continuing and being pretty present in 2021, just bringing in that comfort in not being afraid of dark and thinking of it as cozy and comforting. And then luxury is the other term that, really comes to mind. I think people are not only understanding it more, I mean, they're staying home, so they're able to spend what would be travel dollars on what I would consider more permanent dollars for them to enjoy every single day. And so comfort, cozy, and luxury, I think, are really what we're going to see across the board in terms of color and materials and texture, for sure.
I think that's great. And I also feel like the word luxury sometimes has felt intimidating for some people.
Yeah.
But it's really about the quality of the thing. It's really about how you spend your money, and when you buy something that falls under that category, you're also getting the longevity of it, of not having to replace it year after year after year.
Yes.
Okay, so I have one last question because we have questions coming in from the audience. So obviously we've all mentioned Urbane Bronze from Sherwin-Williams more than once. So now I'm curious to know, what's your color of the year for 2021? So Brynn, I'm going to start with you. I'm putting you on the spot, sister.
Okay. So what's really funny is I've been saying how many dark rooms we've been doing, which is absolutely true. So Urbane Bronze, like, literally is it, but
you're not allowed to steal that.
I would flip it. I'm going to flip it to Sherwin-Williams Pure White, because amongst we've had our normal gray lovers, our clients that love gray, I have seen an uptick in some people ask us to just, I just want to go white in this room. So they're exactly like what Michelle had said about wanting in 2021, they're going to want, a happy room, then they're going to want like a respite. I'm wondering if this return to this white is where people also get their happy, instead of like in their mind, it's happy and bright rather than like bland and white. So pure white is mine, because I have had some more than one client ask to do a white room, and I'm all for it. I think it's really fun.
All right, so we've got pure white. Michelle?
Okay, I'm going to be a complicated order this time, just because, Brynn, I painted my bedroom. I'm obsessed with alabaster white from Sherwin-Williams.
Okay.
At the beginning of the pandemic, because I was ready to change it and I couldn't decide what. So I thought if I went back to white, it would evoke like imagination, right? And I could see different things and start with a clean palette. But the MSB favorite color in bedrooms is like oh God, it's this combination of a blue gray, and there's one called Wall Street that I'm obsessed with. And then there's another one called Cadet that we use in like main spaces. This is actually Cadet. And this client's house is one of my favorites. That's actually her in the photograph. And
wow.
It just feels good. I mean, like, of course we're going to deliver a room that looks amazing, right? But do you feel fabulous in it? This is one of those colors that I feel fabulous when I'm in that room. And I just love the mood that color evokes. I mean, it's a little bit deeper. It's a little bit interesting. It's not obviously gray. It's not obviously blue. This is a part of their master. It's incomplete, but the walls are silk, but all that trim is a Sherwin-Williams iron ore to match it. And I'm obsessed with just, the same color, but just a different texture. And the ceiling is gold leaf, believe it or not. It's exciting. So for me, I think it's going to be something that you have to sit in to really fully experience. And maybe it looks blue in the morning and gray in the evening, just a little bit more interest.
So Michelle, do you ever leave this client's house? Because it feels like you're just hanging out there watching the sun rise and set.
If I had time, they would not let me leave, because they're also wine collectors, and there's always a new red that they have to get me to try. So, Maybe I can't drive home one day. I don't know.
Okay.
These are the perks of the job.
That's why you filled up the bedrooms with the luxury linens. Okay, Nina, your color of the year, please.
So, you know, I have to agree with Brynn on that pure white. We have used that color as much as you can abuse something. We have abused that color. So it's probably the most clean white that is out there, that has no grays, no blues, no shade of any other color. But, you know, I'd have to say that, you know, we are actually rebranding our entire company, and Contour Interior Design is going away and it's going to become Nina Megon, and our brand color is green.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So green is kind of become my best friend, you know, shades of green, like a botanical green. You know, I love deep greens, and I really think that for clients and for different people, everyone you ask, it's going to be the color that speaks to them. For me, a deep green speaks luxury. It speaks a ruby color. It speaks exactly who we are as a brand. And so, you know, I think that's really what my favorite color is going to be, which is shocking, you know, that it's not black and white.
Yes.
So I'm shocked even saying it, but yeah.
I have to say, since I'm
favorite color.
it is, right? And I have to say, since I'm doing my own house, I think that mine might be the Sherwin-Williams Radish, which is, by the way, probably like a very impactful color, but it's kind of this berry red. And it just makes me think of beautiful flowers and peonies, and it just brings me joy. So I'm not sure that I'm going to wrap a whole room in it, but I can see those accents in places in a space.
Right.
So I'm going to go to these questions. And so the first one is, and panelists, I'm going to ask you to, maybe whoever's most inspired, raise your hand so that I can get through these. So can you debunk that dark colors make rooms feel smaller theory? Anybody want to take that one on? Okay, Nina, go for it.
Absolutely can. That has nothing to do with anything. It has to do with the feel of the furniture. It has to do with, you know, what you're pairing it with. Dark colors do not make a space smaller. For instance, if you're doing a dark kitchen, you can do the cabinets dark and possibly do the ceiling white. There are ways to make the space look bigger, and that's also through form, function, scale, kind of all the things that we learned in interior design school. But I absolutely disagree that a dark room makes the room look smaller.
Okay, and it did seem like Brynn wanted to hop into this one. Brynn, do you just feel the same, or should I?
The exact same. And we always, how we end up selling a dark room is we'll always, I mean, I am a one-trick wonder when it comes to like window treatments, for instance. That is the sure one way that you're going to make your room feel much bigger.
Mm-hmm.
High and as wide as possible with beautiful
Absolutely.
ivory drapes in a dark room. It's going to look grand and luxurious. It's nothing to do with the color. It's all about making sure your walls are of the appropriate scale, like Nina said, of putting artwork on it, and take your window treatments up.
Well, so on that same ticket, how do you guys feel then about painting the ceiling the same color? I saw, at least in one of your pictures, Michelle, that you had the dark room and the ceiling was also dark. So it's a little bit more of a cocoon.
Yeah, and that's in a bedroom, you know, and that ceiling is 11 feet tall. So, you know, it's really about playing with scale and proportion. And I mean, I want to take risk and break the rules. That's what we're supposed to do, right? Introduce our clients to new things. So, you know, sometimes it's cool to bring that color around. Every once in a while, I feel like I'm not, I don't know, like I don't want to not take the risk. I don't want to leave the ceiling white in the room that's all dark, like, oh, you're a chicken. You know? So even if we just lighten it a few shades of the wall color, you know, that's another thing you can do if you don't want to commit to going as dark as the walls.
Sure.
If the baseboard is the same color as the wall, don't do the white baseboard with the black wall.
Oh my God.
It's a disaster.
Yeah.
Wait, I just heard a major design pet peeve here.
Yes.
So we'll say that one more time, Nina, so everybody gets it.
The wall and the baseboard should be the same color, please, please.
And the crown. And the
Yes,
crown.
and the crown. Please don't paint your baseboards white.
Yeah.
Here first, paint it all. Okay. Next question. What color suggestions do you have when working with natural stone to create a zen experience at home? I'm looking for hands. Uh-oh.
It's just kind of, honestly, it just depends on the stone. I mean, that answer is going to change, but I would pull the color from the stone. If you open up your fan deck and lay it across the stone and see what pops out and stands out the most for you, that you believe you can live in, pick 3, put some swatches on the wall, and there you have it. My entire social media is geared towards discovering or figuring out what luxury is, how to luxury. And that's one way to do it. Decide what works best for you because it's subjective. But yeah, I mean, pull it from the stone. You can't lose.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I know stone in and of itself, right? It has variations to it.
Yeah.
So it might even be that you need to go see the whole piece, that you need to see a bigger piece than a little 4x4, or hire one of these fabulous designers.
I mean, also, everyone's has a personal description of what they think Zen is. So you got to get to the meat and bones of what your client's Zen is. And then, there's a million neutrals to pick from. And does Zen mean neutral to them? So it's exactly what Michelle said too. It's got to coordinate. But
yeah, when I hear Zen, I think monochromatic immediately.
Yeah.
Do you go there?
Same.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I hear what you're saying. You got to ask a few more questions. Yeah. Right? It's kind of like when I hear people say that they're modern, and then you look at their house and you're like, what happened?
Yeah. There is no better way. That's why we do the visualization, like what I called our first date, to sit down and really get to know our clients. Because if they say, "Oh, I'm pretty sure I'm contemporary," I'm like, "Well, what does that mean?" And when they bring their inspiration to the table, and we bring our inspiration to the table, what we think is contemporary, ultimately we tweak and get to understand what each other's descriptions actually mean. So
my favorite is eclectic. What?
Yeah.
Eclectic can go right, and eclectic can be like a hoarder's den. So it all depends.
What is that?
Okay. What is the best way you have found to talk a customer out of a selection that does not work well?
Oh, so that comes down to psychology. I'll give my little 2 cents on that. I always, I talk about ROI a lot, return of investment, and making sure you're really laying a timeless foundation, and educating them about what that means. So we're really stretching their dollar appropriately. So I always use that angle. And if they have to have something, like they have to have it, I will find a way to give it to them in a smaller scale.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a pillow or pillows, or maybe it's an accessory, or that's how I always will compromise, because I want them to know that we are listening to them. But I also, I always tell them I have an obligation as a professional to tell them when something I don't believe will be the best interest in where they're going to spend their dollars.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I feel like Brynn's wrapping the inside of the coat closet in something she hates. She's like, I hate you.
Exactly.
I think it's a very fine line. You have to be super careful, and I think that's where the psychology aspect comes into play, because you have to be very careful of how you speak to the client, and you have to make sure that they feel respected, but at the same time you have to inform them that you are paying me for my opinion, so at some point you have to listen. We do give examples to a lot of our clients saying that this is a client who didn't listen to us, and look what happened.
That's a good one.
We are taking your opinions into consideration. I mean, obviously, we have to listen to everything that the client says, and we have to design accordingly. But sometimes, if they want a black kitchen faucet with, a blue chandelier, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just have to bring them back and say, hey, this may or may not work for you.
I love that you essentially have like Tales of the Crypt. You're taking pictures of things that people made you do that you said no, and you're like, see what happens?
Crazy.
It's so good.
I like your sound, I like use psychology too, but it's a little bit different, where I feel like I always want to affirm the client, right? Like, oh my God, this is a great idea. But you know what? Let's take it up a notch and do it this way, and make it feel like it's their idea and they can take credit for it, but it's really what I wanted to begin with. That's always a win for me. Oh.
100%. I feel like that works in life, like period. Make them think it's theirs. Okay, we have two more questions that we have time for. One is, how do you achieve a balanced mix of vibrant color and texture without making a space feel too busy? Anybody want to take that one on?
Very carefully.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have a space that was on one of the slides that I think would probably be my answer to it is a completely white on the walls, and you've got your textures and your neutrals in the furnishings, and then we had this beautiful, amazing standout Francine Turk piece of art that was this bright magenta, which is very outside my comfort zone, but putting it in that happiness, that brightness, in condensing it to that one space, and we have it oversized. So it is magnificent in how it comes across the room because of its size, but making sure to have that perfect balance of your neutrals in order to let those colorful places really, really speak is how we approach it. And I have seen other amazing designers who just are awesome in their color and their patterns explosion. I am always in awe and how they mix those things. And I think Mark Sykes does a really beautiful combination with that. So on the opposite scale, I think it's all about, coordination and balance. So you could go on two different angles.
I love that answer. And I want to get to this final one because we have 2 minutes left. So we'll make this quick. And that is, Amir has asked, we've seen a huge increase in modern, sleek, minimalist kitchens in the New York metro area. And he wants to know, are you seeing the same in your prospective areas as well? I see nod.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, people are minimal. For our clients that we are modern, right? So most of our designs are forward-thinking modern. I'm trying to talk fast. So, but, we are seeing that minimalism approach. People are realizing they don't need so much stuff. And, I think that, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Kim Kardashian had her house in one of the magazines, very, very minimal. And, I'm seeing more and more celebrities going towards that trend as well in many of their spaces, just having very clean, compact houses so that the mood doesn't feel cluttered.
Agree.
I 100% agree. And just in general, while I am not a minimalist, I do believe in space and the ability to move easily within your own home. So that idea of balance with color, with product, all of that works so nicely. I want to thank my brilliant and amazing panelists for doing this with me today. And again, thank Sherwin Williams and Berta, Zoni and Cosentino. And I want to turn it back over to Patty.
Thank you, Carisha.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carisha. Wow, that was so much fun. The whole time I kept trying to I'm like, okay, I'm glad I'm not on camera because I'm laughing and you guys, I'm looking at all my going, oh God, I'm so not a designer. I need Nina, since she lives in Houston, come over here now and help me. But you guys were amazing. Thank you really for everything that you shared with us. I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did. And so Carisha, to you and the Hearst group, thank you. And Michelle, I love it. And I love your yellow that you're wearing.
Thank you.
Nina, thank you as always. And for you, Brynn, it's always a pleasure seeing you and your beautiful smile. I hope that all of you viewers will follow these amazing designers, go to their websites and take a look at some of their amazing work that you just saw today and enjoy it. And again, thank you to our partners, Sherwin Williams, Berta, Zoni, and on behalf of the Cosentino family and all of us, I just want to take a second and wish all of you a very happy holiday season. And most important, to just stay safe and stay brave and stay together and change the color of your home 100 times if you need to.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.